5th Annual Afrik Impact, Papa, founder and executive director of the African Leadership Group. It's truly an honor to have all of you here. And we are at the Denver Botanic Garden. About the African Leadership Group, it's been started 17 years ago with the mission to help facilitate the professional integration of African immigrants, social impact, economic impact, and educational impact. As immigrants coming from Africa, we all know sometimes it can be very challenging to be fully integrated in a society, especially if a society where you don't speak the language, you don't understand the culture, it can be challenging. We consider ourselves citizens of the United States. We consider ourselves active members of the community that we live in. We want to give back, we want to be part of the society. And that's the concept of Afrik Impact. Help me welcome my friend, my mentor, Brian Vogts. Thank you, Brian.
Papa, I actually see you as one of my mentors and definitely one of my heroes. It has been an extraordinary journey that we've had together over the last number of years. I am so honored that you chose to come back to the Botanic Gardens for this incredible event. The work has substance, the work has meaning, and the work has common voice, as you say. Everything in our world today is in crisis. That's what it feels like, doesn't it? It feels like we have an economic crisis, a public health crisis, a social and racial justice crisis, political crisis. It just seems so overwhelming and large. But more deeply, it begins to find root in our own communities, in our own neighborhoods, in our own souls. And when that happens, we have a couple of choices. We can just hunker down and try and shy away from the world, or we can rise up and do something about it. And this is an organization that I have admired so much because you work so hard to improve the lives of the people in your community. But more than anything else, I just wanted to tell you, you are so welcome here. We are so honored that ALG is the first group of the public that have actually been in the Farrar Newman Center for an event. Let's keep doing it year after year, and let's make the world better. Thank you.
Now with COVID-19, we see the future is coming even faster. Jobs are being lost even faster. And are our students ready for that year 2030 workplace? And what is our role in that? Can we afford to take a year off? Can we afford to say, you know, sorry, Mr. Miles, COVID-19 has struck and it's all we can do, but we're not going to be able to really do anything about achievement. It's all we can do just to get the kids in school in a safe way. Is that our answer? That's how essential we are? We have a school out in Midland, Texas that just opened up on the 5th of August like our other schools, in-person learning. And the community there is not, the community spread and the transmission of disease is not as high as in Houston or other parts of Texas. It's higher than Colorado, so we might have done something if we were in Florida or Houston. But in Midland, we were able to go to school with safety parameters, but we were asked by several people not to go to school, not to do in-person learning. And my team and I said, well, are we essential? I mean, how essential are we? Because, you know, Walmart's open. So are we less essential than Walmart? The restaurants are open. Now they're at 50% capacity. So why can't we open the schools at 50% capacity? Meaning we spread out 6 feet distant. We have all the masks on. We have safety requirements. So you don't want us to go to school because I guess we're not as essential as the restaurants or liquor stores. No, we are essential. And so if we are essential, and I think the answer is definitely yes, the second question is, what is the level of risk that we would be able to tolerate? We are not in a normal situation. We are in a 100-year event. We are in an event like the Depression, like the World War. That's how critical it is. It's a once-in-a-lifetime event, and we will either stand up and help our kids or not. And that means we have to tolerate a certain amount of risk. I'm not saying go to school without any safety precautions. But I had a teacher, I hear the conversations across the nation, and we have to be able to accept a certain amount of risk. What does that mean? It means that we can go to school, be socially distant, have cohorts. It doesn't mean that no one will get sick. But if you're unwilling to tolerate even one person getting sick in a school, then you might as well close the school. You might as well stay home, and you might as well say we're actually not that essential. Again, I'm not advocating for going back to school without health precautions. We're doing that now. We're wearing masks, we're being 6 foot distant and all that. I'm advocating for thinking of different ways so that kids still get a great education.
School comes very easy to me in a sense, but for me, school is a way to express my social self, express myself to other people. And I think it helps me. For me, school is about challenging others and learning from others through different lenses. So not being able to do that was a little bit difficult for me. Doing school is easy. I'll get the work done whenever it needs to be done, but not being able to challenge others and debate and argue about certain topics was a bit challenging. So in summary, I hope that from the experiences I just shared, that it will be taken into consideration when we make decisions that directly impact students, because our voice matters at the end of the day. Thank you.
I believe that for us, because technology is changing and because we're using it so often, the barrier for parents to get to know what types of systems that their students are being given to look at and to learn and to use is extraordinary. And so as an educator, to answer your question, I really think that we as school systems, we need to do more work with educating our parents, bringing in parents and helping them to be involved in the technology advances of their students. Lots of things that are coming out that we've never seen before. I know even in my work, I don't know what a pair, there's some kind of group that they're doing with a technology that's called a pair, and I'm learning this myself. And so we need to give space for parents to come and learn the technology in order to make that very much available and accessible to their student. I really relate to my fellow panelist here and her angst and how, as parents that work, how are we able to do anything to support our students' learning and to support our household. And so that is something that's burdensome for us as educators, as administrators. However, I think we need the community and our leadership in our states and our local leaders to help us problem solve this. Oftentimes, I think for us as teachers is that the burden of teaching and learning has fallen on the school districts, and we weren't ever designed to take on so much responsibility ourselves. And so we really want to rely and to build those really strong partnerships with parents, with other community agencies, that we can have a system that really supports and promotes not only just learning for students, but learning for parents and learning for our community in terms of, like Mr. Mike said earlier, preparing ourselves not only for just post-COVID, but for the future of teaching and learning for our students and closing those really enormous opportunity gaps that we have based a lot on our inequitable system, but also based upon our inequities in terms of social economics.
So I think one of the things, student-teacher relationships and connection is so important now more than ever. I have small kids, and I even find, even with my 4-year-old, that when they have a chance to connect with a preschool teacher for 10 minutes, they are more effective working later in the day. And so making sure we think about what that connection is. We know that there are challenges in terms of the number of kids for teachers to manage. We know that for students, managing lots of classes is challenging if you're a middle schooler or a high schooler. And so one of the things that I think that is really compelling right now is the opportunity to maybe explore opportunities to rethink how we go about school. For example, one of the things that we're looking at in our middle school is this idea of block scheduling. Colorado College is a university that where it has students take less classes, but for shorter periods of time. And so, for example, one of the things that we're looking at and exploring is having our middle school students take 2 classes for 4 weeks at a time. So they're only taking math and science for 4 weeks. It's nice for teachers. They have less kids to manage for a smaller time, and they get to spend more time, and they get to go deeper in the content, which is oftentimes really valuable for kids. Kids have less subjects to manage as well, and they can also build those connections with teachers because they get more of a focus with that. And I think there's some really interesting opportunities if we think about that. Parents know that their kids are being looked at by only a smaller number of teachers. And so there's that social emotional benefit as well, I think, for them. So, I'm really excited about these opportunities to think about what might be serving our kids well, what might make it easier on our parents to manage and support their kids at home, having less things at a time to do that, and how do we make sure we take care of our teachers to make sure they're managing their load in a reasonable way.
First of all, I believe every student or every child who is born is meant to learn, and there's no differences. And so we need to, like all students, pour into them and give them the added support that they do need. And, it's kind of an interesting, even from Fort Collins to Colorado Springs to Aurora, we bring in, just usually about 30% of our students that are way below grade level. And so we have a system where if you need to learn how to multiply, we teach you that. But we get you there, and it's accelerated and it's quick, and it's an individualized approach. And I think because TEC has an individualized approach, and Miriam, every person is different, right? You have different strengths and different areas of opportunities, and we want to look at that for every student. And we do that in Aurora no differently than anywhere else. But, we say you can do this, right? And so with the right supports and the right encouragement, and we also I strongly believe that when you give young people opportunities, they rise to that occasion.
Based on my experience in spring, I don't think our children get a proper education. They are falling behind. I know and I understand it was unexpected time, and it was unexpected, and nobody was ready for it. But our children are falling behind, and the school wasn't prioritized. It was given only 45 minutes to an hour a day. They weren't learning at all. So I wanted to ask school leaders, what are you doing to fill the gap for the children who fallen behind? And how would it be different this year? And I come with, like I said, more questions. So I want to know, school leaders, when they make a decision, please consult us. We are here to cooperate with you with our children's future. Don't overlook us. At the end of the day, everything in life is about choice. Please allow us to have one. And for the parents in our community, I want you to attend all parent-teacher conference, school board meeting, everything you can. Involve as much as you can. This is our children's future.
Coming to this country as a teenager, with no father, with no mother. I had family. But again, as immigrants, everyone has their own journey, their battle. I knew that I had to do whatever I can as a young woman to make sure I keep myself in school, to make sure that actually not only take care of my life, but open the door and be able to help those I've left behind. When Papa shared that I have a nonprofit organization, while I was navigating my journey here in America, I heard about the story of children in our country who are being abducted by a rebel leader. What did I do? For many of you who know Invisible Children, what I did is to reach out to these young Americans who had actually become a voice for us, for our people. I started to journey with them. I've gone to United Nations. I've gone to Capitol Hill. We've been lobbying, and I realized that there's a power in telling a story. the story I started to tell, actually, for me even to get my own voice, was a story of young girls and boys given guns, first to kill their own parents, then go into the neighborhood. Children, instead of being given an education, they're being abducted.
And we have to advocate for our schools, just like our schools are advocating for their students. And then they have to be quick. You know, in education, we like to try to pilot a program or grow small. Charter schools are known to try to start small and then grow. We don't have that opportunity right now. We have to jump in. All of us are in this together. How Colorado Early College is approaching this, and Denver Science School of Science and Technology is approaching it, and Strive Prep is approaching it. It's different, but we all have to be quick.
So the Denver Public School Board created 3 crisis priorities. The first is to ensure that all of our students and staff are physically safe. The second is to ensure all of our students and staff are supported with socio-emotional supports, as well as mental health supports, because the processing of this pandemic on families, and I'll also get to the communal impact, is really important. And the third was to prioritize mitigating learning loss.
What are we going to do after COVID? And I'm arguing, let's learn. And one of the things that's clear, that's a significant challenge, is the children of affluent parents are navigating well because their parents have the resource, the capacity. They're forming pods. They're doing things that are different to respond to the health needs, the public safety needs, the child safety needs, and at the same time prevent the child from falling behind. I would say we need to figure out ways, either through the existing system or fund it differently, move the money differently perhaps, to allow all students access to that level of nimble learning opportunities, of customized learning opportunities, the things that are specifically of the need of the child and the parents, as opposed to the need of the system.
So thank you to our keynote speaker, Lydia. That was very inspirational. So we are very honored to have you. But I would not conclude today without really thanking the mighty team of the African Leadership Group, led by Laurie, Usman, Amadou, Dr. Everybody. Amazing job. So thank you so much, all the panelists. People that are following us online, thank you so much for being with us. We look forward to seeing you on Thursday. I want to give a shout out to my nephew, Pa Issa, that's following all the way from Rhode Island. I see you, young man, and I'll reach out to you. Thank you so much, and let's enjoy lunch, and thank you again. Everybody enjoy your day. Thank you.